so they they allocated the lottery funds so they could add up to another 20% of a film's budget, but there is a process that will be announced at the end of this month where those funds will be reallocated to another body such as the British Film Institute. But by and large, the subsidy that is provided as a tax credit to incentivize films to come to the UK, inward investment, and for the production of homegrown films has not altered and remains at 20%, which is fairly consistent with the rest of the world. Where we still lag behind is that we are not an easy country to co-produce with. We don't favour that, which is wrong and is a great pity, and hopefully that will change over the next decade.
Tax subsidies in general have become essential because budgets have to be reduced in general. I have a conversation daily with either our actor, writer, or director clients to say, you have to lower your budget. It's not market standard. So in the States, tax subsidies, state by state, and they're all very different, become essential in order to get a film greenlit. For example, a lot of production over the past 10 years has been driven to Louisiana because they have a high tax subsidy. Our agency was involved in helping build out production facilities in Michigan in order to stimulate the economy there, but provide opportunities at the tax subsidy rate of 40%. Obviously, it doesn't net out to that amount, but it's helping drive production. And the conversation we're having with our artists to say, one, this will help you reduce the budget of your film, and two, you'll be able to really put more money up on screen this way. So if you're having to reduce your budget, this gives you the opportunity to still make your film look bigger. Without tax subsidies in the United States, we'd be in a dramatically different marketplace.
And what's about the German situation?
Yeah, I think in Germany, it's I think in terms of the total amount of subsidy, it's in line with what Paul was saying. You can get about up to 20% of the film costs. There are also subsidies for distribution as well. The thing about Germany to remember is that it's very much on a regional basis, so it can be quite complicated in looking at where exactly you want to shoot, because it would depend on, there are different subsidies in different regions in Germany. I think one of the discussions that's going on at the moment in these particular regions is, Hessen, for example, where we are now, is, how can we make Hessen a better place, a more attractive place to film? And, what is the benefit to Hessen of increasing subsidies in films? And then, of course, where is that money going to come from at the end of the day? Because there's a larger, higher level political sort of aspect to it in that, can countries afford to carry on subsidizing films in the way they have done?
Mark, in the US, is there a special called kind of competition between the games and the film industries in general for the same sources of funding?
No, I don't think so. I think actually it's the opposite. I think that the film industry is trying to figure out a way to get into gaming and how to figure a smarter route for telling stories or building excitement around IP. So, for example, in the past 10 years, it's been films coming out and then a game immediately coming out afterwards. Now I think the film industry is slowly becoming more savvy to understand that a game can be used as a device to help tell a deeper story or to help build momentum around an event. And I think that is a very, very exciting. It's a very exciting time in overall media now.
I mean, I think there's also a great example here in Germany. And Resident Evil, for example, is just the German production based on a game. And I think it sort of also talks to the wider point about are you having a film? Are you producing a film, or are you actually trying to develop a brand? And I think the brand argument means that you're not just looking at the film rights, as Paul was saying, but it's actually more around the total value of the brand in different markets. So you're talking about licensing, you're talking about not just the film distribution side of things. You may be talking about a book, a game as well to go along with it. And it's all of these components that are sort of now being seen as a key part of actually producing something.
Absolutely. At the agency, our lit agents and our talent agents are really geared towards finding clients that they can develop on kind of a 360 level. Gaming, books, films. I think we're all starting to look at the business and think about more on a multi-platform overview. How can we tell the story on mobile? How can we tell the story online? How can we tell the story in traditional television or broadband or film or in events? And that's the way we're thinking about the space right now, because it's easier to monetize, build a model, and really kind of create a lifestyle application. I want to know about the characters, so I'm going to read about them. I want to know about the characters, so I'm going to watch short-form content online. I want to know about the characters' other adventures outside of the film that I just watched, so I'm going to go and play a game.
What you describe sounds like the best model for an investment.
Can you repeat the question?
What you described sounds like the ideal model for an investment to provide a possibility to make a cross-media marketing or distribution for the whole brand.
I mean, the marketplace is dramatically shifting. I think everyone in the industry right now is kind of making it up as they go along. We're really exploring it in my group in more of the niche market space, because lower budgets, lower risk. I think you can speak a little bit more on a more of a macro view about mergers and acquisitions of media companies, but we're all figuring it out. Technology is, rapidly advancing, and we're trying to catch up in the marketplace. I think what's interesting right now in the German marketplace is you have such a thriving film industry, and for the traditional international model of film finance, Germany becomes a place where the US, the UK, Australia, France, we sell our movies to you guys, because like you said, people still go out and buy DVDs, and people still go on cable and watch these movies in large numbers. In the US, right now, the marketplace is slowly fragmenting, so people are now figuring out what they want to see online, and they want more of an a la carte menu. They don't want to just turn on the TV and find out what's on. They have a point of view at it because their friends have told them about a specific film or a piece of content, and they don't necessarily want to go see all of those films in theaters. They want to watch them at home.
And there's perhaps another point there as well, which sort of would pick up in our report, is also the question of mobility as well. I think people now, they don't just want to watch films in a theatre or just at home. You will see people on the train regularly watching films on their laptops. Clearly the whole iPad and sort of related sort of products will then also provide another platform for watching. And really, I think the whole way it's going is that the consumer basically wants to be able to watch what he wants, when he wants, on whatever device he wants. Or she, sorry.
You want to comment it?
No, I think you've addressed that quite thoroughly.
Okay. Any questions? Yeah.
I can talk like this. What do investors think about the 3D development? My question is, what do the investors think about the 3D development? Because Avatar was the new, everybody goes to the cinema movie, and now they're producing all these 3D movies. And I would like to know if it's a small bushfire, or from your point of view, are investors still interested, and is it still that they're making more 3D movies, or is it about to fade away?
There's certainly a bubble at the moment that has caught the imagination, and now too many movies are being made in 3D that are not appropriate. 3D works very well for animation and for children's films, and also for horror. Otherwise, the advantage are limited. Also, what has been described so far on this panel is that home entertainment is changing so rapidly, and that downloads are what is driving the business forward, and there's no real market for 3D at home until we have holograms i.e. 3D television that we can watch without glasses. Perhaps I'm too old, but I'm just a Luddite in that I don't think people are going to wear the glasses at home to watch television in significant numbers. And so I think that quantum leap will take place in approximately 2020.
It's interesting. I think we tend to concur with that view. I think obviously there's another instance of the technology really driving the change here. You talk to some people in the business and they say, well, look, our view is that one day everything will be 3D. It's the way everything's going, and despite the fact that certain genres aren't really suitable for it, I think clearly Avatar last year was an absolute huge, tremendous success, and that really sort of pushed a lot of the 3D market and a lot of the willingness of distributors to upgrade the cinemas. But whether it's a bubble or whether it's just going to be something that gradually creeps into, gradually becomes all pervasive without generating a huge extra amount of revenue, difficult to say.
I think there's a couple of things to factor in how the 3D marketplace is going to play out, which is, one, the technological sophistication. Right now, everyone's trying to get their movies in 3D, but the rotoscoping and all of that needs to be developed. You look at where Avatar, what Jim Cameron did with Avatar, and that's leaps and bounds better than what Warner Brothers or Paramount are doing with films like Clash of the Titans. And I think the audience becomes more sophisticated. And to Paul's point, once the home entertainment marketplace has been developed, that's going to change the way people look at 3D, from one, it being an event to go to theatrically, and two, what the level of quality around 3D is. And I think to Paul's point again, 3D becomes, at least now for the next 5 years, becomes very specific in kind of what stories are best told in 3D. Last week I watched a mobile phone project a hologram in the 3D space, and it was utterly fascinating, and I've seen some of the technological advancement around home entertainment. The marketplace is also going to shift when your home viewing screens change and 3D is the norm around sports. I think it's just going to slowly evolve. It's going to change, but 3D is definitely here to stay. The question is, what is the definition we have of 3D now, and where is that going to be in 4 years down the road?
There's another question.
Do you think that in this pursuit of everyone trying to catch up with this technology, I think Clash of the Titans is perhaps a very good example, because Avatar was shot in 3D, it was planned as a 3D film from the get-go, and Clash of the Titans, it was an afterthought. They decided that movie, 3Ds are cool now, and 3D movies are cool, let's just turn that flat thing into a 3D picture. The problem is the script and the film itself was flat to begin with, so no level of 3D would have been able to make that feel any more alive. Do you think that perhaps this is a general problem, that content is trying to catch up with technology rather than technology serving good content? Are we starting to lose track in all of this crazy running around and trying to fit onto every device in the world to actually first start with, do we actually have anything good to deliver to begin with?
I think that challenge has been going on for decades in very different incarnations in our business. It's the studio's job to exploit a movie. We talk about Clash of the Titans, and I actually agree with you, but the reality is Clash of the Titans made a ton of money, and it was very, very smart of Warner Brothers to take advantage of the excitement around the 3D marketplace, and that drove and put a lot of butts in seats. And I think that, again, to my point earlier, as the sophistication of the technology catches up, I think the audience will become ever more discerning and decide what really belongs on the platform and what doesn't, and how that experience is taken in. But I always think we're going to have issues with the business trying to exploit the art and figuring out what's right and what's wrong and what's quick to be exploited.